On Second Shot, we tackle 2 new headlines every week to find out what kind of wisdom the world is dishing out today. And we want you to be a part of that. When you see a headline you want to take a second shot at, or if you're looking for advice, or just want to tell us what you think of the show, email us at secondshotcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear, rate us on iTunes. This helps us move up in the ratings so more people will see us. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the show so that the new episodes will get straight to you every single Friday. We love you. Thanks for listening and enjoy.
There's a lot of news in the world today.
News that might surprise you, startle you, upset, or maybe impress.
News that's not always for the faint of heart.
That's why the man who failed his way to success, Heath Oakes, is stepping up.
Tackling today's headlines with ignorance on fire in a way only a millennial mogul can.
Take off your sport coat, grab a beer, and enjoy the conversation.
This is Second Shot with your host, Heath Oakes.
Pretty sure we got a really awesome special guest on today that's going to help us fire it up a little bit with some fiery topics I think we're going to have on take as well. But we got the lovely Laila Muhammad in.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, and we got Zach and Matt as always.
Yes, thank you.
Hello.
You know, Matt hides back there because he wants to be the cool guy. He's a little...
I like to sit in the dark.
Yeah.
To my little cave.
Too cool for school back there.
And Leila is one of the hosts on the Morning Dose with Jenny. Everybody on here knows my wife, Jenny.
Yes.
She's on often with us. And Leila's one of the hosts with it. And Jenny's really enjoyed working with her. And you know, she's got the perfect personality for the Second Shot as well. So I begged her and conned her into coming in and spending her time.
No conning.
Begged and conned.
I was
That's what
honored.
we're all about. Yeah.
It was definitely an honor. So thank you for inviting me. And Jenny's a delight. I work with her every morning and very positive.
Yep.
And just super beautiful. You guys know that
Aw.
for seeing her.
Oh,
So
trust me, I married her.
sometimes I just stare at her like, wow.
and you know that and she's real.
She is.
And you know that's the thing, you don't really get it. I'm gonna tell you, I proposed to her within 5 months meeting her, but before I did, I had to go. I forced myself to Idaho, unreally invited, because I didn't think it was real. I was like, there's no way somebody can be this pretty and awesome. And she had such a good heart. And I'm like, I'm getting the wool over my eyes. I got to go meet her family to see if this is real.
Yeah, sure.
And I get up there to Idaho, meet her family, and leave. And I said, I'm buying the ring and I'm proposing because she's real. And so.
Weren't you injured when you went to visit the family? And so that rubbed off on her. That was actually a good thing that you went injured.
Yeah. In Idaho, in New Year's, I had hip surgery. I'm on crutches trying to walk on ice, which this old Texas boy ain't used to walking on ice a whole lot.
No.
So, yeah, it was fun adventure.
I like that. That was the last checkbox in the relationship list. Okay, it's got to be her family. It's the only explanation. She's from Idaho. They got to be weird. And you go down there, it's like, nope, they're fine.
They're
all right,
normal.
yeah, they got to. That's it. I'm laced up. I love it.
So we got our first headline here. I think is going to be kind of an interesting for us. Zach, you got it?
Yes, an op-ed out of Forbes called Boss Baby Millennials in Charge. This is written by a millennial who is now a boss over some folks who are a little older than him and maybe a little wiser. And he just kind of outlines kind of the trouble with trying to manage as a millennial, because millennials are now the largest working generation in the U.S. They're starting to get up there. They're starting to get at the top. You're familiar, Heath. You can understand. And this is kind of outlines some things that millennials do that are different than traditional, maybe baby boomer managers. Specifically, he's got a line in here that I think is really, really telling. I'm here to support and guide you, but I won't listen to boring ideas. More than ever, sales leaders have to be creative and innovative. So forgive me if I don't listen when you tell me about planning the same event that every other competitor is planning. I shouldn't have to give you permission to be bold and creative because you've never been given permission to do that before. You should be willing to just kind of stand out and do it and go for it, and let's see what happens. And that's fairly generational. What do you think?
So you would expect me to do the typical thing here would be I started my first company when I was 20 years old, and so I've hired, I'd say out of the 600 people that work for me now, 75% are older than me. So you would expect let me give some tips on that too, but I'm not. You know why? Because I am sick and tired of everybody being lumped in to everything in stereotype type world, right? See, I don't think as Americans and as people in general, we spend enough time these days just getting to know the damn person next to us without worrying what the color, their background, their religion, their generational bias, their whatever bias. It's like Don't be reading these things and think if you're a millennial that this is how I need to lead my people. No, you need to go figure out and know your people. Find out who they are. I've never led one person one way. I've told everybody that I've ever worked with is that I 100% play favorites and I 100% will treat you differently than you.
Right.
Here's the reality. If Emmett, back in the day with the Cowboys, if Emmitt Smith came in late to a meeting and the fourth string practice squad guy came in late, the fourth string practice guy is probably going to get fined. Emmitt Smith probably not getting fined.
Right.
That's okay. He worked to be who he was, right? So I'm sick of us lumping anything and anybody into one stereotype and thinking that we can read this if I'm a millennial boss and go, this is how I'm going to lead my people. No. I think we need to spend more time getting to know every one person individually versus that being classified. What are your thoughts?
I love your point, and it's valid and it's right. When you think about when someone new comes in as a boss, right? I don't know if you had someone come in as a boss who's younger. You were that boss, right? Change is hard for a lot of people. So if 75% of your employees are older than you, when you walk in, they're thinking, okay, who is this guy? What does he know? How am I going to learn from him? Oh, Lord. Where did he go to school? Who does he know? You know, all these stereotypes start coming up because you're thinking there's no way I can learn something from this millennial about how to run this company. I've been that person, though, especially in television news. I was
because your cast changes a lot around you over the years.
And before I became, a host of a syndicated show, when I was doing just regular local news, I was anchoring at the age of 24, and
you got 60-year-olds listening to news, going, "Girl, what do you know about life?"
What do you know? Or a 60-year-old sitting next to you saying, "Oh, how can she do this breaking news?" But I learned that just coming in and being persistent and knowing my stuff, I quickly earned their respect. So this happens in every job. When you come in and you're the baby anchor, the audience is like, oh, Lord, who is this little girl telling me the news? And then the coworkers are like, oh, Lord, let's see how she handles this when it's breaking news. And each time I just kept proving myself. And that's how I earned their respect. So I had to go in there understanding why there was that perception. I understood, young. I understood. I was like, I'm young. I have to dress a little older.
Yeah.
I have, luckily I have a voice that's a little more mature.
Right.
So that worked in my favor. But I knew every time I had to prove myself.
Well,
I did.
And let me ask you this: as you've seen, you've had a lot of people that's coming in right.
Yeah.
I feel like, there's really two ways that people kind of come into new situations and try to handle them: arrogance or humble. What do you think has worked for you the best? What would you say out of those two routes worked the best? Because some of those people come and go, I want to prove so much, I'm going to act like I know everything.
It doesn't work.
And some go the other way, right?
I've been with people in my career, and I've been doing TV now for 14 years.
Yeah.
So I've been around folks who come in like, I'm going to show you. I'm like, there's not much you can show
And try
me.
to answer all the questions, want to prove that they know everything.
The way to show someone is just by your actions, I
agree.
think. Not saying I can do this and I'm the best at that. You'll earn that respect and that recognition when you just do it well.
Yep.
And I love...
And don't got to tell anybody, you just do it.
You do it. I love saying, oh my God, that person's so good. You see how they handled that? Like that's how I, have gained the respect. I remember walking into my second news market, and man, I was probably the youngest one in the newsroom, and they were going through all these changes. They had a new manager. Everyone's in a real bad mood.
Yeah.
And the boss told me on the first day, he goes, just a heads up, one of the anchors here just got demoted today, so she may not be nice to you. And actually, she was super nice to me, so it was the opposite. But I knew that first day I had to go live, which was my second day on the job. Live shots are difficult. Everyone was watching.
Oh, yeah.
Just waiting for the ball to drop. But it didn't. And then after proving that over and over again, people were like, you know what? Give her a chance. She actually knows her stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't go in there like I can prove that I can do this. I just said, let me just show up and do my job.
And I don't care if you're old, young, experienced, or non, going into any new situation, coming in with the humbleness will always get you further. Because, see, being humble will also let you have the ability to fail and them not hold it against you.
Right.
If you're arrogant and cocky and you know it all and you fail, people are going to be going, dumbass.
Right.
Remember my preacher watches sometimes, so we got to
self-censorship.
stop that a little bit.
That was a good one.
I'd have to get that one.
Well done. Yeah. Leave that in.
But if you're the humble person, nobody goes out with pitchforks going to try to take you on down whenever that happens. I have always, and one of the things that I've always done is I always just admit all of my stuff, all my flaws out front. I come in, I would, when I went out and took over a territory at 23 years old with all I'd sit up there and I said, look, I don't have, you all of you probably have more experience in your one finger than I have so far. I'm fully aware of that. I have a couple good skill sets that have some hustle and work that I'm going to do. I will always outwork anybody. What I'm going to do is lean, and hopefully I can gain some of that knowledge in your finger and help us both continue to work on our skill sets. And I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm learning and all these things. And guess what? They buy in because they believe me, because I'm actually being honest. I'm not trying to be a fake, arrogant, cocky person. People will buy into truth, honesty, and being humble in those ways. And I can tell you that being humble never made it to where they thought I was weak. You know, that they trusted me more versus the opposite. And some people think they got to come in and be arrogant and cocky. And I would tell anybody that you've got something to learn from anybody in your work life, in your personal life, whether they're parts of stereotypes you think you don't like or you would like. If you take the time to get to know all of the people around you, there's something you can learn from everybody if you get out of these stereotype mindsets and go, I want to learn. Humble yourself. There's a confidence humble. That's what I say. That's the line. You want to be a confident and humble person, not arrogant, not cocky, and not so humble that you're weak and meek and mild, right? It's that confident, humble that you can do it, you got it, but knowing that you're going to learn and gain more the more you use people around you. So I think this is something that needed to be said here. And I think in these days it's even more so that people got to learn to use all the resources around you. You may not like 90% of something from somebody, but there's something 10% that you could probably get from them that could probably help add to yours to help continue to make you grow. So we'll be back in just a minute on the second segment of Second Shot.
He's a suit and tie kind of guy with deep Southern roots. Heath Oaks hosts more of Second Shot coming up on RNCN.
To all of my friends in the great state of Texas, if you have not taken advantage, I have a way to save you a ton of money. I have saved over about $3,000 in the last year, and I have no hassle. Go to energyogre.com, put in the promo code SECONDSHOT. Now listen, promo code SECONDSHOT, and you're going to get a free month just for signing up and saving a ton of money. So don't be crazy. Stop sitting around talking about, is this the real deal, and go do it right now. energyogre.com, promo code SECONDSHOT, and a free month. Thanks. Go get it now. Run.
Ready? Aim. Fire. Second Shot is back for another round on RNCN.
This next one coming up is like the perfect Texan story. You know because Whataburger is like a Texan you're from the Carolinas.
I'm from North Carolina.
Yeah. So Whataburger's not there.
No.
Yeah. So what's the North Carolina chain that's like they're like? Is there like a? It seems like California In-N-Out is like everything. And
Shake Shack?
I
don't know.
Is there a Shake Shack? I can't. You know what? This is the thing with me. I stopped eating red meat a long time ago.
You and Jenny both. Okay.
I've never officially walked into a Whataburger.
Yeah.
I have had a chicken biscuit brought to me.
They
And
sell
I thought
chicken.
I thought it was mediocre.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know what the burgers are like, but I hear In-N-Out has really good burgers.
I don't do In-N-Out. That's California.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whataburger's Texas.
And
right.
North Carolina, our thing is Bojangles, but that's chicken.
Bojangles.
No, but that's the
Oh.
thing. That's what I'm saying. Bojangles is y'all's thing. That's right.
Get a Bowberry biscuit, honey, and your life has changed.
Some Bojangles. That's right.
And some sweet tea.
A Burberry?
Bowberry.
What's Okay.
It's like a cinnamon roll. You get 2 little
Ooh,
biscuits in a
cinnamon
little
roll.
container for like $1 and some change, and it's got icing on it.
A cinnamon roll
and
biscuit.
then they don't
That
sell
sounds
like
amazing.
regular hash browns. They sell bow rounds. They're like that big, and they're like a onion fried hash brown.
That sounds
I'm
awesome.
all over this.
Cholesterol on 1,000. It's great.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that actually sounds freaking amazing.
Sounds really good.
Like I love a
Bojangles.
good cinnamon
and
roll.
sweet tea.
Gotta have a good sweet tea.
Swing by Bojangles next big road trip. That's a good time.
Yeah. But the reason we're talking about that is because of this next headline.
Yes, this is hyper local to DFW. All lanes reopened at US 75, I-635 after overturned tanker caused gridlock. Last Thursday, there was this giant traffic jam in the morning. Thursday morning, rush hour, everybody's getting to work. And 75 and 635 are two major highways down here, and they intersect in a very wacky kind of position already. And this truck carrying a resin commonly used in the production of plastics, as reported by the WFAA, said it overturned, and some of this stuff started leaking out, and they couldn't figure out a good way to get it turned back over. It becomes a hazmat issue. They got to get a bunch of people out. So rush hour, morning traffic, the whole thing shuts down.
These are the two major
gridlock.
roads, too.
Yes.
This is not like some side roads. We're talking about two of the biggest roads in DFW.
Right. In Dallas, Texas, these are huge. And in all of this shutdown, in nobody moving and nothing happening, there was a guy who was seen on the news via helicopter hopping out of his truck on the overpass, walking down the way, hopping the barrier, and just strolling into Whataburger and getting himself a bite because his car wasn't going anywhere, and he figured, why not? And that's really what we want to talk about, right?
Absolutely. And what was it? Wasn't there some tweets or something? Did somebody tweet about it?
Yeah. It took me 2 hours to get to work this morning. I live off the high five since I knew about this before, and I went through back streets of the neighborhood to come out on Spring Valley. It took me an hour to get out of the neighborhood since Coit was standstill, Coit being the road out there. I mean, it was wild.
Yeah, that's miserable. That can really ruin a day.
Oh, man.
Well, the worst thing that could happen is you can go into work and get the pink slip that same day. Then it's really a bad day.
Makes things a lot worse.
I had caught a chunk of it coming in because I come up 6:35, and it normally takes me about 15 minutes to get to work. It took like 35, and Matt caught it the worst.
But how much longer did it take you?
I was probably an hour 45 minutes late.
Oh.
Yeah, and normally I don't normally check traffic because I come in towards the end of rush hour. You know, we get here around 9 o'clock, so most of the traffic, especially on 6:35.
Layla's hating you internally right now.
Yeah.
As you say, you come in at 9, she's like jealous and like
That's when I'm going home.
You get to miss the morning traffic.
Get to report on it.
But so yeah, I normally don't check. I usually use 6:35. I mean, there's some backup, but I got there and it was completely stopped. And yeah, it was that point where they were starting to let some people through, but there was one ramp open and they were diverting all of traffic to this one part of the highway. So, and then everybody thinks they're going to be smart and take the next exit and go to so exits about 3 or 4 miles up, they were all jam packed. It was terrible. Terrible.
You know, as soon as I saw it and I saw the helicopter view of the guy walking from Whataburger with his Whataburger bag and all, I just thought, you know, that's my kind of dude right there. Like, and like where everybody else will sit there in traffic and get pissed off, put their heads down, just be mad. Like he just looked around and goes, "Hey, there's a Whataburger. I'm gonna go get me some breakfast and I'm gonna make this an all right thing." And I think that at times in life we get caught up in stuff. We get in where life has crumbled on us so much and everything's hitting us and we don't look around. Just take your head and turn it, look to the right and realize there's a Whataburger there that can kind of bail us out. And when I say that, sometimes like when you're going through things personally as well, you don't take the time to take a right to a friend of yours and just say something that maybe they can help encourage you because you get so in your own mess that you just don't look around and, you know, that old saying is smell the flowers a little bit, right? And I think that people would be a lot happier if they would just kind of, look, relax, take a look around. You're going to have people there. You're going to have something there that maybe can help pass that time, help go, you know, get around that because everybody goes through something or another at some point in their life, in their work or whatever it is. And I love the fact that he just said, hey, look, there's a Whataburger. I'm gonna get me some breakfast. If we're gonna do it here, I'm at least get me some Whataburger this morning, right? And I mean, I think as you're going through all of it and you got all your stuff going on, why not taking the time to look around a little bit? What do you think?
You're right, and I've seen this with friends. This has never happened to me, knock on wood. I mean, if I were stuck in that traffic, I probably would just cry.
Oh, man.
I'd just sit there and cry.
Call my mom and...
But in your case, you'd have been getting off work, so you would have easily went to sleep.
Yeah, that's the other scary
Take
part.
a
They have to
nap.
come wake me up on the highway. But, you know, I've had friends who were planning to go. They were going to Ireland or something, my friend and her husband, and their flight kept getting changed and delayed. They couldn't make the trip, and they had been looking forward to it. But instead of getting mad about it, they just rerouted, and I think they ended up like in Mexico or somewhere on vacation. They're like, well, we're supposed to leave our daughter with family and go have our own trip, but now we're just taking her and having a family trip to Mexico. Yeah. So they made the best out of it.
I bet you those are good people to be around too.
They are. That's
I have a
usually
feeling
their
that when you
personality.
do that, like you're that's probably a really good person to be around.
It is. So I try to stay positive in those situations. But I'm going to be honest, though. If I were on that bridge and stuck in that traffic, I seriously would be in the car crying.
What if it was Bojangles versus Whataburger?
Well, I might get out and walk to Bojangles and get the Bowberry biscuit and some sweet tea. But I could see in the moment how people get so frustrated, especially when you're used to traffic already being backed up. Then when traffic starts moving, everybody wants to look and see what happened. So then there's another accident that happens as a result. Everybody looking to see what happened. So it's easy to get frustrated in that point.
But you just said something that's a perfect example too. Because people that all these judges and everybody likes to be a judge of stuff, right? That they do this, they get in their own stuff, and what they'll do is they start looking around at the everybody else's stuff going on to try to magnify that, and they magnify everything by caring about everybody else's business, you know. And it's like sometimes people think that when they get their stuff, they just want to get it, make sure everybody else's have something bad going on, and then you know they do
those negative Nancy's.
Sure.
You know, I have had people that have always said they would say, you know, well, Heath's just always been real lucky. There's a lot of, you know, I was always lucky. And then, you know, it was all of those types of, or that, you know, well, Heath, you don't ever have anything bad go on. Like I don't know. I choose to be happy. You choose to be a miserable human and tell everybody else about how poor, pitiful you. I don't. I just don't express. I just don't stand up and announce all my stuff. You know what I mean. I choose to deal with it, and I deal with it, and I have my times and days that I don't want to get out of my man cave. I want to stay in there because I am feeling down and all that, and I get myself out of it. But I don't go announce it to everybody.
Right.
You run around trying to make everybody else miserable. I ain't wanting everybody to join that club.
I think traffic, because I'm one of those people, like, man, I tear my hair out sitting in traffic. I hate it. Like, it's the worst. Like, man, I'm not a good person in traffic, and I struggle with that. But the silver lining of life legitimately grinding to a halt and taking the control away from you is to remind you that just like any game, it's just a game. Like, and just take a second when you don't have an option to be like, you know what? I'm hungry. I'm going to go get something to eat. You know, like, why not? You can't do anything. You have no control. Just relax. Just hang out, you know, and enjoy it for what it is, because if you sit there miserable, the only person who's going to be upset is you, right?
I try to make traffic positive sometimes when I'm passing an accident.
Yeah.
And I say, thank God I wasn't a minute earlier or 2 minutes earlier or 3, because that could have been me. You just never know how that could have changed your life that day.
Yep.
If you had been a minute or 2 earlier, you're passing this horrific scene and you're thinking, yeah, I'm backed up, but boy, these people are having a really bad day, or someone got hurt or killed.
But Layla, though, that's why you are successful, because your mindset is, instead of the negative, it is the, well, if I would have been, you know, at this point, at that point, I could have been involved in that, right? Like, and that's what people don't understand, is that successful people are not people that don't have things happen to them wrong in life. Right. Successful people choose to be happy in spite of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it is a choice. I don't just wake up going, everything's great. Like, I have to make a legitimate choice at times to go, I'm going to be happy. Right. I'm going to not let this take me over. Like, sitting in traffic, I have to make a legitimate choice not to be pissed off.
I do too.
Okay?
It's hard. Yeah.
But that thing is, happiness is a choice. It is not something that somebody else has it and you don't. They've made a choice to do it. They've made a choice to look at the silver lining, the positive. As I've always said, I love the Steve Jobs quote, you can only connect the dots backwards, not forwards. And, you know, you never know until you go through it and you go back and go, man, that really crappy thing, if that wouldn't have happened, then I wouldn't have my beautiful wife, my daughter, maybe. You know, like that could have altered all of that. I thank God that really bad thing happened, because it helped lead me that way. And if you have faith that you can connect the dots backwards, it can help a tremendous amount of things. And take a look around. Take a look to your right, to your left. You got somebody that can help pick you up. Take a right to the left and go, slow down to go, I'm gonna be through this. I'm gonna make it past this, and see if there's something around you that you can do that would alter your mind, and make that choice to be happy versus making a choice to be there miserable. Make a choice to go get some Whataburger. I'm just telling you, I'll take some all day. So we'll be back in a minute and get to know the Layla a little bit more on the third segment.
Now that's what I call ignorance on fire. More of Second Shot with Keith Oakes still to come.
You guys have been listening to Second Shot and hearing us talk about it. You need to go pick up my book, Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. You can get it on Amazon in a paper book. You can also hear this beautiful voice of mine in audiobook style on Audible or anywhere you're going to get your audiobooks. Guys, this book took a lot of time to put into it, and I believe it can really be some life-changing stuff to help you on your path to success. And hopefully you're going to fail your way to success just like I did. Ignorance on Fire, A Journey of Failing Your Way to Success. Amazon.com, Audible.com, audiobooks, paper books, everything. Get it, share it with your people, and I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Go pick it up today.
Kick off your boots or suit up. The choice is yours. Welcome back to Second Shot on RNCN.
So we were just talking a little bit offline because it's like my wife is like the one that like decides to eat like chicken because she knows it's healthy for her, like to eat a good protein, but she could really care less about meat. She doesn't hate it. She just doesn't really like it. She likes vegetables. I'm the exact opposite. Like in order for me to eat a green, I gotta like, if I'm gonna have some greens on there, it's like I will take my piece of steak and put the vegetables with it and eat it so I can kind of mask
Blend it in. Yeah. Sure.
Smother it in some gravy.
It's like the complete. I mean, I grew up in deep East Texas in a little small town. There wasn't nothing that we ate that wasn't
green.
fried. That wasn't.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? Like if it could be unhealthy, my mom made it unhealthy.
Oh wow.
I mean, that's what you're North Carolina. Southern women cooking, battered, fried.
But we had a lot of green stuff. We ate collard greens.
Well, no, we did too.
Sure. Green beans. Yeah, totally.
I ate green. We ate green beans. But there was also bacon and bacon grease in the green beans.
There's
You know
butter
what
on
I mean?
that, too.
Good point.
No.
Like if there was a way to make it unhealthy, it was done.
Sure.
Well,
You know?
so I take it you're not doing the green smoothie that Jenny brings to work every day.
God no.
That thing is
Not a chance.
Scary.
What
Not
does
gonna happen.
she put in that?
I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
It's just super
man.
green and it's big.
Next
Yeah.
time she's in studio, folks, we'll get
Yeah.
to the bottom of this.
Yeah, they're rough.
Oh man.
Layla, I'd like for you to get a chance. I want you to kind of maybe tell your story some. Like tell our listeners who you are, like where you come from, kind of what's your path to where you are now, and kind of what's happened kind of along the way.
Oh, that's a lot, Heath.
Yeah, lot to take on there.
Give your important pieces of things that were you're from North Carolina, small,
Yes.
big city.
Fayetteville. My dad was in the Army for 23 years.
So you moved a lot.
No, actually, I was very, very lucky in that sense. We were stationed at Fort Bragg in my childhood. Went to Germany for 3 years and came back to Fort Bragg, which rarely happens with military kids. You're usually all over the place. And so I still have friends from like when I was 5 and 6.
Wow.
When I came back that were still in Fayetteville. And then when I went off to college, they moved to Killeen, Texas. My dad served at Fort Hood. He served 2 wars. One, he was in the Army. One was Desert Storm in the 90s. And the other one was he went to Iraq during the war back in 2000. I guess it was 2, 3, whenever they went. And he retired at Fort Hood, and they moved back to North Carolina to Charlotte. And then I went on to Northwestern and pursued this crazy field of TV and journalism.
So what was it? what was when you were growing up? Were you involved? Were you a sports person? Were you a journalist person? What was your interest?
The funny thing is, the younger Leila, like 5, 6, was super shy and quiet, always writing and reading.
You were shy and quiet?
Yeah, it's weird. About middle school, end of elementary, middle school, I got the nickname Mouth from the South from my principal, Mr. Killingsworth in North Carolina. My best friend LaToya and I were so loud. We had in the cafeteria, we had stoplights.
Yeah.
So if it went red and went off, you had silent lunch. So we got the whole cafeteria silent lunch about 3-4 days a week.
Yeah.
And so finally they were like, those two are the problem. So he put us in the center of the cafeteria and we ate lunch with him every day for the rest of the school year. So we thought we were doing big things. We're
That's
hanging
awesome.
out with the principal.
Yeah.
So that's
Loving
why
the
I'm
spotlight.
You were taking
Yeah.
things as a
I was
positive
like,
back
this is
then.
great. I have
awesome.
I have assigned seating with the adults. And after
Seat at
that,
the table.
he said, "You'll be a good lawyer one day." And then, I went into high school and stuff, doing student government, and I decided then, like freshman year, I wanted to do TV, and just kind of stuck on that path.
So how and why? What is about TV? Because your parents, you come from the Army and all that. Because Jenny comes from the family that has nothing to do with TV or anything. Either.
We didn't either. We had nothing to do with TV.
I know. So like, why? What sparked you?
Yeah, I think because I was just a good public speaker, and people tell you, you're at 15 and 16 years old, you're great at speeches. I'm like, yeah. But we used to have to watch Channel 1 News when we were in school. This is back in the day when Lisa Ling was on there. I think Anderson Cooper back in the day was on there. All these folks who are big journalists now. And it was just a cool, fresh take on news that appealed to the young people. And we watched it while we were in school every day, for one period of the day. And I said, I want to do that one day. I want to tell stories. And so I just stuck on that path in college and then went on to grad school and got a master's in journalism at Northwestern, which I call boot camp. And then the rest is history. It was some serious boot camp.
What do you think that, I know along the way of the TV business, I know from my aspects of Jenny telling me is that a lot of people will go into, she'll see these interns and that are going to want to go into it, and they'll come in and talk about, they want to, how great it is, but like they think it's a very glitzy glamour thing.
Oh yeah.
Versus what like Jenny loves stories. She loves to tell people stories. She loves that aspect of it. And she always says that's the difference of the people that make it or not, because as soon as a kid gets out of school and they go to that 130 market and they are putting their own makeup on, they are standing up their own camera and they're and they're like making barely enough to feed themselves. They all quit because it's like, this ain't glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
You got to love the journalism because it ain't, it took Jenny 10 years to get to, this size of a market.
I think a lot of it happens too in the schools. I feel like some of these folks aren't prepared for what TV is all about. I feel like when we went through it, and I'm old, this is like, 14 years in the business. But when we went through it, we understood that you're going to start somewhere small. You're going to make no money. And when I say no money, like some days I was like, what am I having for dinner? Ramen or peanut butter and jelly? Because I got just enough money for my rent. My first TV job, I don't even know how I lived.
Jenny said she made like $21,000.
I made about $25,000 before taxes. And I lived in the nicest apartment complex in Greenville, North Carolina, which was like $600 a month. So if your paycheck is $720, one check was rent. My student loans were like, oh, honey, call us in a couple of years when we're fine. You don't have to pay right now. I mean, I had to figure it out. But then I started teaching on the side because I had...
And Jenny was a trainer on the side.
Right. I had the journalism degree from Northwestern, so I was able to be a professor. So I started teaching at 24, and that just made me really rich back then. I had 2 jobs. My point is, the young folks I would meet along the way who would come intern with us, just they would say things like, oh, I can't come in tomorrow because I have this. I'm like, when I was an intern, I made time. I came in, I was grinding, whatever they need me to do. I worked all these hours. We didn't get paid. Nowadays, these interns get paid. Their mindset of like what it takes to do this is different. We're in the age of Instagram and looking pretty online. It changes the whole...
These people that rent a Ferrari and park it and say that they've rented it and like, oh, look, come be success. Buy my programs. Like, you ain't got no Ferrari.
It changes why people get in this business.
Yes.
They're not into TV anymore because they like to write and tell stories, or they want to get to the bottom and change laws or whatever. They're in it for the glitz and glam.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because...
Well, and it's not, they figure out it's really not glitz and glamour.
But sometimes folks get really lucky and they're 23 and their first job is
Dallas.
somewhere like New York. They have no idea what everyone else had to go through to get even anywhere close to that, and all the dues they've paid and the work. I did 4 unpaid grueling internships before I got out of college. I mean, I had to walk in New York. I got splashed by a cab trying to get a Michael Jackson 5 record from a record store. I mean, like stuff like that. I have stories, it's just, but whatever. I just try to stay focused on, this is what I'm doing right now. This is my story. And hopefully I can pass this along to, people I mentor, students I've taught at, East Carolina and Hampton University, who I still mentor to this day. I try to make sure they understand, what it takes to be successful and just focus on that.
Jenny always said, she said in her first job, like she was making $21.20, and she's always been, I mean, even when she went to Tucson, she was the Monday through Friday anchor, still having to be a trainer on the side to make enough money to really have like
pay her rent.
Yeah, exactly. And she said, the first job, they're like doing a story at the food bank handout line. She's like, I literally qualified to be getting the food bank as well.
Oh yeah.
And this is on-air talent,
yes,
right? This isn't like in the back room, nobody sees you running graphics. And like, this is, you are on. Where, like outfit and everything, makeup and
markets.
Yeah.
She made $22,000 a year.
That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, it's no joke. That takes, and all of it. Well, she asked somebody one time, she said, how do people do it? Like how do I actually, because looking at apartments like you said and stuff, like,
is there a
and
tax
other people,
bracket or something?
And she said somebody was gonna go, well, I mean, most people's parents just help them out. And she's like, well, I mean, my mom and dad love me and they give me lots of love, but like they ain't got the ability to help pay my bills.
Oh, there were many days that, my first TV job, that parents were sliding money in the bank account or siblings. One of my funniest stories, we always laugh about this at work because people get me confused. I don't know why. With Laila Ali, they just hear my name and think Muhammad Ali's daughter. So I'm at the bank, and this is in that small town.
Well, that's probably because your last name
and
is
the first name. And I'm at the bank, and I probably have like a $10 balance. And I pull up to the drive-through, and this lady goes, "Are you really her?" And I'm thinking, I've only been doing TV for a few months. I said, I work at Channel 9 down the street. She goes, "No, are you Laila Ali?" I said, "Ma'am, do you see my bank account balance? I'm missing some zeros."
Yeah, listen, a couple zeros.
Yeah, you said
A
negative
lot of
sign.
zeros. Like, not her, but it was rough starting out. But I wouldn't change it. The friends you make in those first markets and the lessons you learn, and that's how I became a real journalist. Like telling stories, having to knock on doors, having to be, make good relationships with the sheriff's departments. I was so close to every sheriff's department because that's how you get the story on what was happening down the street. And you didn't hear this from me, but call Jim over at the firehouse. That happened last night. That's how I learned how to get stories.
What would you say that if you can give anything to kind of the listeners there? If you got, is there, I always say everybody has a story. Mm-hmm. You just got to be open enough to be vulnerable enough to tell your good, your bad, and ugly with your story. Everybody's got them. And I think that the story of going through is what helps others. Is there any particular stuff that you think that throughout your story that really stick to you that were just something you felt like was a super character building moments of any way that maybe sharing with the listeners or something? Maybe there's somebody listening that is going through something similar that you've either overcome, you've either surpassed, you've either you look back and realize what it did, or you powered through it, or anything that others may find some inspiration from in your story and in your journey.
I think, even with that first job, I think what it was trying to just figure out how to survive, but not letting that deter me. There, you could go into a first job and say, "Oh my God, I'm making $24,000 and I can barely pay my rent. I should just go back home and work and do something else. This is not working out." But I kept showing up every day. I'm like, eventually it's going to make sense, and the Lord will reveal a way. And it happened. It was just that hard work. And one day being out on a story about gas prices, because God knows we didn't have many story options. And I was at that gas station thinking, why is this cow next to me mooing? Because there was a cow at the gas station. Just moo, it's right there. And this lady came up and said, "You did a really good job in that interview with me." And she said, "My husband works at the university down the street. Where did you go to school?" The conversation started. She knew my background, and that's how I got that job teaching on the side. So just having that positive attitude in that moment, I could have been all, mad because it's hot outside, the cow is mooing, and I'm making no money. But that day,
but you did the best possible for that story.
Yeah, and I did but someone noticed, and that's how I got the job that was able to help me pay my rent and feed my coworkers.
Yep.
I did. I had coworkers who would say, "Laila has food." They come over and I feed people who couldn't eat.
Dinner at Laila's.
It was dinner at Laila's. But my whole story in TV has never been about a leg up. It's never been that I knew someone. It has always been, I haven't learned, met a lot of people along the way, but it's always been my work speaking for itself. So I've had to always work hard at everything along the way to prove that I can get to that next level.
But I think that's what's key is that a lot of people may be in a job or doing something that they really don't like. That's not where they want to be at. But and so they kind of just mail it in all the time because they're pissed off. Versus going, the gas price story, you did everything you could to make sure that was the best dadgum gas price story in the world. And because of that, somebody just so happened you were talking to had a connection somewhere that knew it to lead it to do. It's like that's what people don't understand. You may be, if you're sitting in a position that you don't like to be in, do whatever you go above and beyond, stuffing the mail if you are, to do it, and somebody will notice every time.
They will. They always do when you're least expecting it. So
well, we appreciate you coming on a lot. I thank you for taking your time because I know it's been up since probably 2:33 this morning.
That's about right.
And and I know what that means, and we don't take it for granted at all. I really appreciate it, and you've been a blast, and I think you're going to be on the next one as well.
Yay.
So our people are going to get a little bit more from you, but. Tell them where they can find you on social media, because go follow her. It's fun to see all of her stuff. Where are you at?
Hey, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Laila Muhammad TV. Should I spell it out?
Sure.
LailaMuhammad TV, and Laila Muhammad on Twitter.
At Apple Zackintosh on Twitter and Instagram. That's me. Yes.
And Heath Oaks or Ignorance on Fire where you can. Thank you guys again, and we love you, and we'll see you next time.
You're listening to RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.